Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hot Girls Learn Hockey podcast. My name is Sarah. If you're new to the show, this is the show where we talk about all things hockey, the what to knows, the who to knows, and everything in between. And I am fearful for the things I'm going to be saying in today's episode. Not because I'm fearful of hockey fans. I'm fearful of Booktok. You heard me right. We are talking not about any series like in specific detail like I did with my L. Kennedy episode. I'm talking about Booktok in general, more specifically the whole gist of sports/hockey romance books that has become just a huge thing, like way bigger than I thought. And this really all stems back from when I went and I purchased the last of the L. Kennedy books that I hadn't already had before. And I brought them up to the counter at Barnes & Noble. And the woman checking me out looked at the books and was like, oh my gosh, what is it with hockey? Why can't you guys like baseball or something? And I was like, excuse me? She's like, I don't know what it is. Like, can you explain it to me? The whole appeal of, hockey players and these like spicy romance books. And I was like, you know what? That's a really good question. Because like, don't get me wrong. And I'll talk about this in a couple of the series I'm going to talk about. Sports romance books are like a huge thing. Like I've read football ones. Like I'm currently reading one about a football player. Baseball ones. I've read a couple of baseball. I've read a couple of basketball. Even I read a couple of soccer. There's even golf ones, which is really cool. My boyfriend loves those ones. But I just feel like hockey is like just the go-to sport when I think about sports romance. And apparently everybody else thinks so too. Anyone who's like writing them or reading them. So I really dug deep into my thoughts and brought all these notes together to kind of go through kind of what is so appealing about these kinds of books, and B, go over some of my favorite book series and give some recommendations. So that will be what we're talking about in today's episode. First things first, my fun drink is back. And the Sharks Cup is back. Actually, was the Sharks Cup in the last episode? I honestly don't remember. I kind of black out when I film these episodes. Not like literally like black out, not like drink too much or just like faint. I just like don't really remember filming them, and then I have to go back and edit the footage. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's funny, Sarah. So maybe this was in the last episode. I fuck if I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, if it was, I'm pretty sure there was just water in it. But yeah, I have a fun drink in here this time. I have some Prosecco that I got as a little gift from my friend because she asked me to be a bridesmaid. I hope she's listening to this episode. She does. She says that she listens to my show. We'll see. But I mixed that with some like pressed juice to kind of make like a healthy mimosa because it has like vitamin C and shit in it. I don't know, but let's all get a fun little drink and cheers, and let's get into today's episode. Oh gosh, where to even begin with talking about these kinds of books? I guess I'll kind of start with the one that I feel like anyone would know, regardless if they like reading sports romance books. If you're just avid reader, or if you have a Kindle Unlimited account like I do, someone please take it away from me. Please don't. I'm joking. Do not take that. That is like the only thing keeping me sane, besides hockey, obviously. But they will know this book, and it is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna be, actually I don't know if it's gonna ruffle some feathers, but I feel that I will get judged. Don't get me wrong, love the book, but the sequel's better. There's 3 books in this little series about this hockey team. The first one's Icebreaker. Second one is Wildfire. third one, I cannot remember. It's something about to do with a book club. I haven't read it yet, but I've been meaning to. But I read Wildfire, the sequel to Icebreaker, before I read Icebreaker, and it was just so good. Russ Callahan has a little chunk of my heart. He is such an endearing character. I love him. But yeah, I don't know. God, if you haven't read Icebreaker, it is an ice skater / hockey player romance story. With Anastasia as the girl. She's like training to become an Olympic figure skater. And she has this partner who's like god awful. Like, I like don't even remember his name because he's like that awful. I just don't want to think about him. But it has to do with her, and then I literally just said I blocked out the other guy's name because I just don't like him, his character. I don't remember the guy's name in this, but he's a hockey player. And there's like the whole trope of like, oh, they have to share an ice rink, the hockey team and the ice skaters. Like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And there's a very famous scene in this book. All I'm gonna say is Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift and Backseat of a Car. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, well, you should probably go and read it because you'll find yourself very surprised. Also might be a little taken aback because I for sure was. I was like, am I reading this correctly? Oh my god. Context is very important, Sarah, but I can't give context because it doesn't spoil the book, but it is a very famous part that you really should. You just need to read it to believe it. But that is arguably the most popular of all of these hockey romance books is Icebreaker. Like I mentioned before, there's 3 books in the series. There might be more. I'm not too sure what the author's intention with the series is, but Icebreaker is like all over Booktok. That was not the first one of like other than all the Elle Kennedy stuff. That wasn't the first one that I read. Actually, fun fact, the very first hockey romance book that I read was this one called The Hat Trick, which, if you don't know what a hat trick is, in hockey, a hat trick is when a player scores 3 goals in one single game. Not if they got 3 assists, it's 3 goals in a game. And the whole thing, I really don't know why it's called a hat trick. I haven't looked that up. But the whole thing is when a player does get a hat trick, the tradition is for everyone in the stands to throw their hats onto the ice. And then the arenas, they'll do different things. I know one arena, I think it's the one in wherever the Red Wings play. I'm pretty sure they have like a wall and has like a big case with all the more interesting hats that get thrown on the ice, so like vintage sports hats or anything like that. But it's a fun thing. It's if a player gets a hat trick, that's really good. Macklin Celebrini from the Sharks just got a hat trick the other night. I think it was their game. Oh, what was it? I can't remember who they were playing against, but Macklin got a hat trick the other night, and I was like, oh my god. But they got it in an away game, so like there weren't too many hats there. There were hats from all the Sharks fans that were in that arena. But, oh man, if only he had gotten the hat trick at SAP Center, it'd be flooded. Oh my gosh. I probably would not throw my hat because I got a Sharks hat for my birthday from my friend Mallory. I love you. I don't know if you watch this. If she doesn't, that's going to be really embarrassing. I'm going to have a very big talk with her. But yeah, I would not throw my hat because that's a really cute hat and she got it for me as a present. But I would throw my hat in spirit. But yeah, the very first book I read called The Hat Trick. It's a Why Choose romance, which I'll go more into depth in a little bit. I briefly mentioned it in my Elle Kennedy book episode. Just because the very last book in the Campus Diaries series, the Charlie Method, has to do with a Why Choose romance. That's the trope in there. But it's a Why Choose romance, The Hat Trick, with this one girl. I can't remember her name, but it's like her and like 3 players from the same team. And I didn't know the concept of a why choose romance. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is cute. Like her and this one guy. And I was like, wait, why is there another? Wait, why is there a third? Shit was crazy. The scenes are really crazy too. And those books, oh my gosh, the spice level is like, whoo, through the roof. We'll get into that in a little bit. But now, speaking of the why choose romance, there's, like I mentioned, Icebreaker, arguably the most popular of the hockey romance books. Now let's go into the most popular, like controversial, I guess you could say, book. Controversial in a way of like people don't really understand it that well. It is a why choose romance, and it is called, not a joke, it's called Pucking Around. It, like I said, why choose romance. It involves a girl named Rachel. She's a physical therapist. It also involves a grumpy goalie. I think he's Finnish, and he's like huge, and he has like long hair. A golden retriever hockey player, and a bisexual former hockey player turned equipment manager. And they all work. The two players are on the same team, and then Rachel, the physical therapist, and the hockey equipment manager guy, they work for the team. And it's a whole thing of them discovering each other and all the different emotions with a polyamorous relationship. Oh my god, I totally forgot. I didn't even explain really what a why choose romance was. If you forgot from my L. Kennedy book series episode, why choose romance is basically where there's a romantic relationship between multiple people, and the whole thing is like, it's called a why choose because it's like, why choose one when you can have all of them? Like, if you love 2 people, 3 people, why just choose one? Why not just all be together? And those are kind of controversial to like some people. It just like, it's based on your comfort level if you feel comfortable with reading about polyamorous couples. But also like another reason why people kind of deem this book as being slightly controversial, and it's like a stupid reason in my opinion. Like I mentioned, the equipment manager character, he is bisexual. There's a whole storyline with one of the hockey players kind of struggling with his sexuality. And I will say this, it was done very beautifully. Having this, like, being able to be in this character's head and processing all these emotions and thoughts, I think it was handled very beautifully. It was handled very carefully. This is just my personal opinion, but that's another thing that people are like, oh, it's like a why choose romance and it has like bisexuality, da, 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 da. And like I said, it's a stupid like thing to be, skeptical about in reading this book. It's like, it's 2025. Grow up. And that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, the scenes in this book are, like, the spicy scenes are so, it is, insane. They are very descriptive. And, you're left after a scene wondering, how is she upright? Oh god, we'll see if I keep that part in. But yeah, so those are arguably the 2 biggest books in the hockey romance series, Icebreaker and then Pucking Around. And Pucking Around does have sequels to it too. I haven't read them. I've only read Pucking Around, but if it's anything like Pucking Around, the sequels might just be, my next read. And so now we've gone over the 2 most popular, and now let's go over another kind of genre that is also very controversial, but I don't see a lot of people talking about it, and I want to say something about it. So there is this whole genre of like dark romance books where it's mostly the male character, like the main male character. He is like a walking red flag. Like, you don't want to root for this guy because the lengths that they will go to acquire, so to speak, their partners, whether it's a guy or a girl, and in this case in the series I'm about to talk about, it's different girls, are the methods are sketchy, to say the least. Now the series I want to talk about is, again, with the whole puck like analogy and stuff. It's called The Wrong Pucking ... So the whole thing is like, the one of the books is like The Wrong Pucking Man or The Wrong Pucking Dates. And they're all dark romance books with these hockey players that are like described as being super like jacked and tatted up and just so hot and sexy, and oh my god. And they are all walking red flags. These books are not for the faint of heart. If you're triggered by like literally any trigger, don't read them, because they are very much like presented in this book in like not graphic detail, but like enough detail to where you're like, okay, why did we have to input those scenes? But it is such a fascinating series to read. Absolutely do not take any notes for any of the men watching this episode. Don't take any notes from the guys in the series if you decide to read them, which I don't know why you would, but if you did, because these are absolutely no, do not do any of these things trying to get a girl. Just be yourself. I promise they will like you a lot better if you just, be yourself and buy them some flowers and not get them evicted from their apartment and fired from their job. That way they have to live with you and will get to travel with you to their games. But you're wondering if I exaggerated that whole thing. No, those events actually do happen in these books. I'm telling you, walking red flags. But yeah, I don't know what it is with me. I'm just fascinated with reading them. I don't condone any of the behavior in these books. I think that goes without saying. Like, do not at all think that this is what healthy relationships are. But the smut scenes are insane, and there's like one aspect in every single book in this series that a player does. And I don't want to say anything else. There's just some kind of body modification they all do to themselves, in appreciation, one could say, for their ladies. And that's all I have to say about that topic. Now let's go into why is it such a popular thing to read hockey romance books? Like, why is hockey like the go-to sport, it seems, for these like romance books and for Booktok to kind of go, ham over? Like, and like I said, there are other sports romance books that have, football, soccer, golf, lacrosse. Like, what is it with hockey? And so I kind of came to a few conclusions, and these are just like my personal opinions on why I think that the series is popular. You can, sound off in the comments or let me know what you came to the conclusion of. But these are just my opinions, mine and mine only. So don't be like too offended if you don't agree. The best thing about opinions is that everybody has one. So I think one thing that I can see, but also just like, some people might say differently, is that hockey, at least in the States, is not a like super huge like popular sport. Don't get me wrong, there are, obviously big moments in hockey that get, spread all over the internet and go viral. And they have huge fan bases. This is not to knock hockey as a sport at all. I have a whole fucking podcast about hockey. I love the sport. But it's not like baseball, which is America's pastime, or football, where like these Super Bowls have tickets that are going for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, it's just not like as big as at least over here in the States, as it is in like Canada ape shit over hockey. Duh. It's like their national pastime. It's, and that's, love that for them. But like, you wouldn't hear like Matt Rempe's name with like Travis Kelce, is all I'm saying. So I think it has that kind of relatability factor where young women can read these books and like fantasize about these hockey players and go to NHL games and be like, oh my God, I could possibly, have one of these players fall in love with me, and then I can go to all these games and I can wear his sweater with his name on it. And I mean, I think I just kind of came to that conclusion from the whole kind of backstory of me loving fan fiction on Wattpad and doing the whole like YN, like the whole your name thing. Self-insertion is crazy genre. So I think that's probably I would say a good, guess as to why, these books are so popular with young women. Another one is that hockey is a very aggressive sport. I was actually having a conversation with some coworkers today because we were watching a baseball game, but we were talking about football and hockey, and I was talking to them about how much I love hockey games just because of how action-packed they are and how aggressive players get, and like the fights and the like smashing into the glass in front of you. It's just like so aggressive, and it's just something that you don't see in a ton of like sports, in the sense of like, sitting in a crowd and watching. I mean, obviously you can go watch boxing, you can watch MMA fighting or whatever, UFC, whatever, but like these guys are like on knives pretty much on ice, smashing into each other. They have sticks in their hands. These pucks are going at like 90 miles an hour. It is just a very fast, aggressive, passionate sport. And it might just be like a pheromone thing. Like, it might just like arouse something in people where they're like, oh my God, I'm like feeling something. Like, I'm feeling tingly watching, I don't know, Matthew Tkachuk, make a slap shot. And they're like, oh my God, I kind of want to read something along those lines. So I feel like that's, maybe a big thing that draws in, male attracted people. But yeah, this is gonna be a very interesting episode to go back and edit. Oh God. So yeah, those are just my opinions on, why I think that the genre is so popular. Like I said, if you have anything you want to add to, or if you disagree with me on something, let me know. You can all talk in the comments below. I'd love to get everyone else's opinion as well. And with that out of the way, I want to go into what I think is going to be my favorite part of this episode and give some of my recommendations. So if you are in the market for some new books to read, all of these are on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have a Kindle Unlimited account, they are all free to read. And they are all really, really good books. And then I've read and reread a lot of these. So the first one that I want to recommend is a book series. It's called the Playing for Keeps series. And the first one in it is called Consider Me. And it's by Becca Mack. It all deals with players on the same hockey team. I believe they live in Vancouver. I think they're in Canada. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all in Canada. But it is such a cute series, and there's one book in it that I say this all the time when I talk about these books, but I was crying reading it because it was just such a good book. And the next series that I want to talk about is the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. The first one in it is called Mile High, and this is a fun book series because it deals with hockey, it deals with players on the same hockey team, but also the second one is about a basketball player, and it is just that, again, I laughed, I cried. It was a lot. Like, these players and these characters are just like so well written, but so that's a really good book series. Next one is one that, oh my god, I don't know what it is with this whole puck as a adjective or a verb, but it's called Pucked. It's the Pucked series, Pucked, and it's by Helena Hunting. I hope I said your first name right. Not that you're watching this, you have way better things to do, like write the next book. But again, it is about players on the same hockey team, and it is just so funny. Like, the first book, the girl in it, Violet, she is hilarious. I found myself like scream laughing so much. It was insane. So that's a really good series. And the last series I want to give a recommendation for is the Campus Wallflowers series. This is one where every book is like a different sport in the series, but they're all in the same campus. It takes place on a college, like in a college, on a college campus. And the first one in it is called Tutoring the Player. So it's the whole shtick of the book titles is like blank the player, so like scoring the player or tutoring the player or whatever. I think the first one is hockey, and then there's a basketball one, then a football one, which is one that I'm actually rereading it because it's really cute. And then the last one is it's technically not a sport book series, but the guy in it used to play football. So I guess you can kind of consider it like a sports romance books. But so those are my recommendations if you're in the market for a new book series to read. All of these do have smut in them. Spicy scenes. So if you do not like those, you don't have to read those scenes. Everything else in it is really good. The characters are all really well written. I found myself laughing at a lot of these parts, crying at a lot of these parts. It's, it takes you on a roller coaster. But yeah, so that is all I'm gonna talk about in today's episode. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter one. I'm doing a lot of research for next week's episode, which, I'll tell you. It's going to be another team deep dive. This one about one of the oldest teams. It's going to be about the Boston Bruins, and I wanted to do it because it's my dad's favorite team, and also just a team that's always fascinated me. I think because it's like one of the first teams that I like kind of knew about, obviously because of my dad, but also because of the El Kennedy series, because spoiler alert, those guys some of the guys in the series go on and play for the Bruins, and it's just like a central part to their whole characters. So yeah, it's gonna be a team deep dive on Boston Bruins, and they have a history. Oh my god, it is taking the life out of me. But it's going to be really fun to film. So that is going to be all for today's episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please make sure to give this a good rating. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you take some of my book recommendations and maybe go and give them a little read. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!